Well, I'm nervous. Are you nervous? So this is weird. This is new. Hi guys, if you are new here, welcome. We're all new here. It's a brand new channel. But if you don't know who I am Carrie, and I have another channel called Carrie Cakes where I make mostly lifestyle and travel content related to my life. I live in Seoul and I like to travel all around Korea and the world when it is safe. And I love making book content, but I decided I wanted to have a separate space for it. And I was inspired by a few other booktubers that I had been watching, and I just wanted to join the conversation. And so since I'm a newbie, I want to do the newbie tag. So here we go. First question, why did I start this channel? Kind of already said, but I had been doing YouTube, and one of the types of content that really brought me joy was book content, whether it was reviews, recommendations, but I found that I kind of wanted a different space to share it. I wanted a place where I could kind of unapologetically just talk about books. So yes. What are some fun and unique things you can bring to Booktube? Well, I am a white woman who loves YA fantasy and true crime, so I'm kind of as unique as it gets. What are you excited about for this channel? I am just excited to talk about books. I actually have a ton of ideas. For my other channel, I've been really struggling in finding inspiration, especially because with kind of travel and lifestyle, we aren't doing a whole lot right now. I have a lot of really fun things planned already, and yeah, I'm gonna try and post once a week, every Friday. So, why do you love reading? The easiest way for me to say why I love reading is to compare how it's different from other things. And so for things like film and TV, while I do love that, I just really love the fact that with a book, you can create it all. Like, all you're doing is looking at print on a page, and you can create these like immensely magical things in your brain. I think it's just, I don't know, reading is really amazing. And then I've also just learned so much. I learn about people and places and things that I wouldn't have found out about otherwise. And yeah, it just expands my mind in many ways. What book or series got you into reading? So this is quite funny because I had to be a reader. My mom, I've said this before, but my mom is a librarian. In my house growing up, I've only lived in one house. So in my house, our bathrooms, our garage, there were bookshelves, not just like a pile of books. There's literally a bookshelf in every room of my house. I can't remember a time when I couldn't read. So as a kid, I was really into, if you remember, Children of Green Know. I loved that series. Obviously Harry Potter, the Boxcar Children. I had a big like runaway fantasy when I was a kid. I read pretty ferociously all through high school even. And then in college, because I was so busy, I tended to just do a lot of rereading. It wasn't until after college that I started to read again. I think it was like I was rereading an Agatha Christie or something. And then through that, I found Tana French, all of her crime thrillers. And then I just kind of read whatever I could get my hands on. What challenges will you face starting Booktube? I'm very protective of my love of reading, and I just don't want to ever jeopardize my just really organic love of reading a book. And I'm the kind of person that if I read something and it doesn't click with me immediately, I like to put it down, and I don't want to feel pressure to like read it, to review it or something like that. I want to just be able to return to a book when I'm ready, if I even want to. I don't want to feel pressure to do any like challenges or stuff like that. And that kind of leads into my second point, which is Booktube seems like a real legitimate community, and I'm fantastically socially awkward, especially with online communication. So, and I worry about this with my other channel as well. My introversion and extroversion comes in like such extreme waves. So sometimes I'm really excited to reach out to people and talk to them and meet new people, and then I will just essentially ghost people. And I don't mean to, but it's like I have a very low threshold for how much communication I can have per day. So sometimes if I wake up and I have a bunch of Instagram messages, I reach my threshold and I like don't even answer my mom's texts for 3 days. I know that Booktube is a pretty tight community and I would love to be a part of it, but I just don't want people to think that I'm ever cold or standoffish or anything. I'm engaged, but you just can't tell. That's like literally a worry that I have. I feel like I'm coming into a party, but I'm like a wallflower and I don't want to change that. So when did you start reading? Kind of answered that already. I literally can't remember a time when I didn't read. And last but not least, what kind of books do you like to read? I pretty much love all books. I am not big on self-help, but other than that, I really will read anything. I love nonfiction, I love memoirs, I love trashy, well, I haven't really read a proper trashy romance, but I'm pretty open to anything, I would say. And that leads me into, just because it is June while I'm filming this, I wanted to do kind of a 6-month wrap up, what I've read for this half of the year. I went through my Goodreads and I have read 35 books thus far this year. And actually, surprisingly, March was the month in which I read the most, which was when I was most hardcore quarantining here in Seoul, so it makes sense. I read 7 books in March. Breaking down my most popular genres, I feel like I have been kidnapped. Like, this does not really represent how I normally would read. I'm actually shocked by how few thrillers I apparently read. I feel like my reading identity has been taken over by my high school self. 24 of those books, 62%, were young adult fiction. I love young adult fantasy. It's just, I haven't read it in so long that I'm kind of like, who am I, you know? Then I read 3 more like adult fantasy, 3 that are hard to describe, but I would say they're like contemporary, they're like real life drama. 2 were historical fiction, 2 were thrillers / dramas, and 1 was a memoir. And I'll just want to finish this with 3 recommendations, my top 3 favorites of the year so far. Number 1 being Everything I Never Told You. I tried to start Little Fires Everywhere, and I really couldn't get into it. I think it just wasn't good timing. So I kind of like wrote off anything else that she had written, but you guys were really just like on my butt about finally reading this book, and so I did, and I really liked it. And so for just a little intro to the plot, we follow a family and one of the daughters is found missing, and we know from the very first sentence of the book, it's not a spoiler, we know that she is dead. So we are kind of reading this without any hope that they're gonna find her. And the story kind of goes in 2 ways. It goes from when she is missing and shows the family's reactions, what's happening afterwards, their relationship from there, but it also goes backwards and really looks at especially the parents. The parents' lives shaped the children's lives. I just thought that that was really interesting. I find that most of the books I've read, at least, tend to focus on like the children and their struggles, but this really went into how like parents are people too. Parents have had lives too, and how those lives really affect how they raise their kids. And so yeah, I absolutely was completely surprised. I had no expectations for it, and Everything I've Never Told You. Of course, on this list is going to be 6 of Crows, which is the reason why I even am in this like puddle of YA fantasy in the first place. It was highly recommended by you guys and I listened to you, thank God. I just hadn't read a book of that style in a really long time, and I used to love like YA fantasy and sci-fi and all that stuff in high school. Oh, loved it. So this just took me back and I was just in love with the world. I made an entire separate video about it, so I'm just gonna put that there. I don't think I need to explain it, but if you're really curious, I've got like a 17-minute video about it, so. And last but not least, I want to talk about There, which is a work that I didn't really know how to categorize. What it is a collection of, they're kind of short stories, short vignettes that eventually all tie together, and it follows the Native American community living in Oakland, California. And it is, I think it's such an important book. I honestly think like high schools should really be pushing this on students, maybe college. It's hard to call it my favorite book of the year because I genuinely did not enjoy reading it. It's so hard to read. It's so depressing. It covers just absolute darkness, like the struggles that that community goes through, and there's very little hope. It's not like, oh, and look, things are getting better. It's not. It's just hard to read, but it's incredibly eye-opening, and I think it's very, very important. So I would say those 3 are the books that either surprised me or excited me or impacted me the most for the first half of 2020. So that is me in a nutshell, and I'm really excited. I'm hoping to I just want to make like fun content. I know that my previous book content has kind of just been me talking about like, these are my favorite books that I've read so far. But I want to try and get a little creative. I don't know, like stretch my creative muscle a bit. My goal is to upload once a week, and I hope to see you there. Thank you so much if you're watching this. This is really exciting for me, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.